The Texas Supreme Court will soon decide whether homeschooling families must actually teach educational basics to their kids or be allowed to wait for Jesus. I'm not kidding. This is an actual case. According to the AP, an appeals court had ruled against Michael and Laura McIntyre last year, saying that the Christian couple was not exempt from state education regulations. Now, after that, the McIntyres have appealed that ruling, and the state's high court will soon decide whether religious parents have an obligation to ensure that their children actually learn anything. Interesting. Now, the story goes this way, okay? The couple had removed their 9 kids from a private school in 2004. Apparently, this private school was not religious enough and wouldn't let the kids sit around waiting for Jesus, okay? Now, they pulled them out of this school in order to homeschool them in what a relative previously testified as an empty space in part motorcycle dealership, part classroom. Interesting place, but hey, you gotta have a place to structure 9 kids, I guess. And it seems to work. Now, the relative also testified that he had never saw children reading books, using computers, or doing any kind of math, any kind of homework. What did they do instead? They played musical instruments and sang. Now look, I don't have a problem with music class. I like music class. I'm in favor of music class. I'm in favor of liberal arts, etc., etc. But you gotta squeeze some math in there. I'm just saying. Might help. But apparently, that's all they did. And I'm assuming they sung about Jesus. Tracy McIntyre, Michael's brother, according to the AP, overheard one of the McIntyre children tell a cousin that they did not need to do schoolwork because they were going to be raptured, according to court documents. Now there's a side note here, right? The state of Texas does not require homeschool families to register with state or local educational officials. And they also aren't required to teach state-approved curriculums or give standardized tests. So when you are homeschooling your kid in Texas, you can essentially do whatever the fuck you want. Oh, great. That's going to lead to a great new generation of extremely stupid people. Awesome. That's exactly what we need. America with more stupid people. All right. Now, Raw Story reports that there were some problems here. And these problems arose when the family's eldest daughter, then 17 years old, actually ran away from the home in 2006 and enrolled at a public high school, where administrators placed her in 9th grade, 17 years old, and she was placed in 9th grade. Why? Because they didn't think that she could handle the work. She didn't learn anything. She hadn't learned anything. She wasn't even at the level where she's supposed to be at. A 9th grade level. That's crazy. That's crazy. Now, the El Paso School District eventually asked the McIntyres to actually prove that their children were being properly educated. Now, the couple didn't exactly like that, and they later filed a lawsuit after they were charged with truancy for not reporting on this, right? For not reporting that their kids were actually learning stuff. Now, the charges were later dropped, but the couple asked for relief under the Texas Education Code and the Texas Religious Freedom Restoration Act, the Texas Constitution, and the U.S. Constitution. Wow, that's a lot of paperwork they're trying to have back. Now, the McIntyres say that the public school district is biased against Christians, and they accuse school administrators of making a startling assertion of sweeping government power. You got to be kidding me, right? Oh my God, how dare they? How dare they try to teach our children facts? Can't have it, won't have it. Constitution says my kids if I want to, my kids should remain ignorant. That's crazy. That's crazy. Now, it's reported that if this passes, that if this appeal gets overturned, that this could have a huge impact for the state's estimated 300,000 homeschooled students. If the Texas Supreme Court overturns this, it would basically be removing what little oversight in place over Texas families who teach their children in homeschool settings. And it would be an absolute disaster. Look, even private schools have to follow some sort of guidelines. You can't just avoid teaching people facts in order to reintroduce or reinforce the beliefs of your cult. It makes no sense. And here's what's funny about this specific group, right? These beliefs, the belief in the rapture, they don't even show up in the Bible. It's not even there. It's not a thing. As one of my Christian friends points out, the rapture is not a thing. It's actually a recently made up invention by fundamentalist groups. And regardless of whether it's real or not, you actually can't just stop learning while you wait for Jesus to pull out his giant vacuum cleaner and suck you up into heaven. It's not how it works, man. It's not how it works. Now finally, and here's the interesting thing, right? The thing that stood out to me the most. And I want to end on this. The 17-year-old daughter who ran away from home. They're all grown up now. Since this is a pretty old case, they've actually only got one child, the youngest child, left in homeschool. But the oldest one at the time that ran away, it's kind of funny that the first thing that she tried to do was to enroll in school in order to learn things. That, I think, is kind of awesome and stands in stark contrast to what their parents tried to do, and what they tried to do was limit knowledge. Kind of a cool contrast. It gives you hope that the younger generations aren't buying the bullshit and actually want to learn.